Hello, Cootie Crew! Welcome back for today's video. Today's video is all about our transition into RV life. So if you've been following along on my channel, you know that about 5 months ago, we moved into an RV that we renovated ourselves. There's a whole video on our RV renovation, and there will soon be an RV tour for anyone who's curious. This video is more about the top adjustments we made transitioning into RV life. We had never operated one, owned one. I'd stayed in one a couple times, but my dad was in charge. But that didn't stop us. Now, these are just the top 5 adjustments that we had to make. There were a ton of adjustments and things for us to get used to, just because, again, we had very little idea of what we were getting into. But with all of that said, we are still very happy we did it, and all of those adjustments were very worth it. So, the first big adjustment is downsizing. Duh, right? We knew we were going to have to do a ton of downsizing. We were not surprised by that. But how much downsizing was more of the wow factor, because we got rid of so much stuff in the months leading up to selling our house. And our house wasn't even that cluttered because, again, we had lived a more minimal lifestyle and were really fond of it, so we didn't really get a ton of things. But still, that took a long time. We were selling stuff for months, and then we were down to what we considered the bare bones things to move into the RV. And then even after moving in, we got rid of even more things. It's pretty crazy. It helped that during our transition time, we were actually renting out our friend's bedroom, and so we learned while living in that bedroom what we use every day, day to day. And so there were leftover items in the RV that we hadn't touched in months, and we figured, well, if we haven't used them in months, then we really don't need to be keeping them. So yeah. For instance, clothing. I downsized my clothes, which, again, I don't normally have a big wardrobe, but I did get rid of a lot of clothes. And then once we moved into the RV, I got rid of even more clothes. Same with kitchen things. So again, we had pared down a ton of our cooking equipment, our kitchen equipment, our appliances, and all of that. And then once we moved in, found out that they didn't all fit into the RV. Got rid of a lot of different cake pans. We now have only 2 bakeware pans and 1 cookie sheet, whereas before we had had muffin tins, cake pans, tart pans, all of these things, which, again, we used, but we have since gotten rid of them. And guess what? We're fine. We're really fine. It's totally fine. Whew. These lights are toasty. The second big adjustment, the RV moves a ton. And before you ask, yes, we do have stabilizers for the RV, and my husband adjusts them pretty often. But still, the RV shakes a little bit. It's not a ton, it's just a little bit, but that took a while to get used to. And for me, a light sleeper, anytime my dog would move, it would shake just a tiny little bit and it would wake me up. Yeah, it's just pretty crazy. Like, you don't realize how used to a stable foundation you are until you don't have one. And because of that, I've had to change my exercise routine. There are certain exercises that I don't do anymore just because it will rock the RV like crazy. If one of us is in a different room, the RV shakes more if someone else is moving in a different room. There are 2 rooms, what am I talking about? It's a small thing, but it did take a while for me to just get used to that happening. And now I barely even notice it anymore, but for a while it was really throwing me off. The third thing is cleaning. One of the reasons that we made the decision to downsize so much was because we were sick and tired of cleaning the house that we had and only spent all of our time in one room. While it is overall a heck of a lot less time to clean the RV, we have to clean it so often. I sweep and vacuum every single day. That's not true. I usually don't on Sundays, but every other day I do. In such a small space, there's a lot of dirt and hair and birdseed that accumulates on the floor. Now, we also have 2 pets in here, so that contributes a lot to the mess. I'm aware that if I didn't have a dog and a bird, I probably wouldn't have to sweep and vacuum every single day, but I do, and I love them, and it's worth it. Yes. And also, on the note of cleaning, we don't have a dishwasher in here because we have a smaller RV, and I do dishes twice a day by hand. Again, I've gotten used to it now, but I used to get so frustrated when we first moved in and I couldn't use the kitchen area to even prepare food unless I did dishes. And then once I was done preparing food, there would be more dishes. Yeah, and in such a small space, even just a couple dishes feels very cluttered. Number four. Four. Number four is managing all of the tanks and resources that we use. We're stationed in an RV park, so we have all of the hookups, which makes it a heck of a lot easier to maintain, but we still have to watch our black water tank, our gray water tank, the enzymes for them, and the propane, which are all things that we have never had to monitor before this. So for instance, if you don't live in an RV or haven't been in one before, when you use the toilet, all of your waste goes into a black tank. And when you shower or use the sink, all of that water goes into a gray tank. And those are tanks, which means they will fill up with stuff. Now, I know there are some people who, when they're hooked up to a spot, will just leave both tanks open, but we've heard the most that it's better to keep them closed until it's time to empty them, which just helps with the health of the tanks, because if you don't maintain your tanks, it's going to get stinky. So there are products and enzymes and stuff you can use to keep that from happening, which again is just something we have to think about now that we didn't have to before. Same with the propane. When we moved in, we knew there was a certain amount of propane in the propane tank for heat because we moved in while it was still cold. But filling the propane was something that we were very new to. We didn't know how long the tank was going to last or how to get it filled or what it was going to cost to fill it, all of these different variables. We actually set up an external propane system so that now we can take the tanks somewhere to be filled and have a gauge on them that we now are used to understanding about how long a propane tank lasts. And then, of course, remembering to get them filled before they run out. I will say that's actually one of the things I enjoy about living in the RV is that I'm much more aware of the resources that I'm using. We're much more mindful of using all of our appliances and our water just because we have to monitor it. So I think that's really cool. It helps us be a little bit more aware of our environmental impact. And the last of the large adjustments that I have is the thin walls. I watched a ton of videos, before we did this, and there were so many people who would make comments about the thin walls on the RV. But it's very real. Again, we're stationed in an RV park and we have our space here where we're parked. And it's very easy to hear people who are walking by or when the neighbors are talking or when the neighbors are outside. It's very easy to hear what's going on. It's crazy. And when I first moved in, it was really hard to adjust to that. Like, especially being a light sleeper, I would hear a car door, I don't even know, anywhere in the park in the middle of the night, and it would wake me up because you just hear more. Or I would just hear a ton of noises and then get concerned because I didn't know what that noise was. Or when other neighbors were playing music, you could hear it. Anytime our neighbor opens their door, we can hear it. Things like that. Again, something I hadn't experienced before. But now, after living here for 5 months, I don't even notice anymore. I've just gotten really good at tuning out that background noise. Now we're fine and we can tune out the background noise and I can sleep through the night without headphones or anything. It just took a while. Okay, that's it. Those are the top 5 adjustments that I had to personally make. Those made the list for me because they took the longest to adjust to or were the most frustrating to me. But the list of adjustments was actually very long and we had to figure out so many things. So if you're considering RV life, but you're a little overwhelmed by all of the changes or you're not sure if you'll be able to handle it because there's so much new stuff, let me tell you, go for it and you will adapt. It's just a matter of time. And in my personal opinion, it is totally worth it. Don't let the fear of not knowing how to do something keep you from doing it, I had never operated an RV or monitored tanks or done any sort of home renovation or anything. But you learn. Life is short, just do the thing. Whatever the thing is, do the thing. That's what I have to say. Okay, Thanks for watching. You guys are great. If you're an RV lifer, please go ahead and share in the comments what your top adjustments were to RV life. I'm sure there are some that are very different than mine. And if you have any questions about RV life, go ahead and leave it in the comments. If this was useful, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Check out the other videos that I have on my channel. And if you want to stay tuned, go ahead and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.